Steve Hauck, a police expert on police matters and dealing with people like us in the world. Steve, good morning.
Morning.
All right, first off, I want to get on the Facebook thing. You know my opinion. I feel, and actually, we talked with the rep over at UPD, your replacement,
Lieutenant
over at UPD.
Coramato.
Right.
So, and what I said is, if there's racist things, if there are people making fun of people, if that stuff is slipping through, take the Facebook page down. I truly believe that because it's an eyesore on our area at a time when we're really trying to turn things around. And somebody writes in, Bill, you're right. It makes the city look trashy, and it also hurts the police department. If it doesn't help, just don't use it. If it's a screw up, end it. It's basic PR. You should have a PR expert in there trying to solve that problem for UPD. What are your thoughts on the Facebook? I know it does positive things, but at the same time, if you get on there and it looks like topics, how does that show the representation? How does that represent Utica?
Well, you know, over the years, obviously, you know, first started it and it went on for years and years. And first, we never had that issue when there was just a few people on it, you know, and a couple thousand. But as it grew, obviously, the comments, you know, started like anything else. And we had to make a decision. Were we getting positive things out of it? One, were we having some positive community interaction, and also
that's another element of it that we haven't talked about. We're talking about getting tips, but having a positive interaction between police and the general public is important as well.
There's no way to gauge how many people are reading it, following it, and getting information about their neighborhoods. Can't gauge that because there's tons of people that don't comment and never comment. After years of reading that every day for hours and hours a day, it's a lot of the same people that talk on it, which is fine. It's, you know, there's people that like that interaction. There's people that just want to read. It's like watching TV. But you can't gauge that. And the other aspect of it is, are you solving crimes? Well, we're solving crimes, a lot of crimes. So that's something we were never doing before because we put a video out, we put a photo out, and in traditional media, for years we'd do that, we'd never cover it because in your cycle you run it, and then maybe it runs once more, twice more, and then it never gets run again.
Here's the problem, though. It still makes us look bad.
Well,
and I understand there's good, but here, let me get my point off. And I really believe that you're in a tough position because if the people get on, the reason your numbers are high is because it's trashy. People are attracted to that. That's why Topics did so well here. So when you take the trashy away, there go the people. You won't have the traffic. It's a bit of a conundrum. The problem is, I think we always, with a municipality, I think we have to side on decency versus populating the site. That's my take, which is why I believe that the site should be changed where people can't make comments.
That's not possible.
I understand that's not possible. Then it should be taken down.
Well, here's the thing. Is what I invite you to do, because I did this, is go across the country, pick any agency you want, go to the FBI, go to any of those that have and I all have Facebook pages. They have the same issue. If you go to the FBI page, it's, you know, Muslims shouldn't live here, and you know, they go after any particular group that's having an issue at the time. So they have the same issues. And it's unfortunate aspect of living in a country that has total free speech.
Listen, there's no.
That's what you're going to have happen.
Which is why I think Topics has the right to be there, and we cannot take Topics down.
But Topics isn't like that in other parts of the country.
I understand.
If you check different parts, it's not like that.
We're like, and I'm not sure we're as strong as we used to be on Topics because I believe there are moderators that kind of squelched a lot of stuff.
Well, Topics has been sued.
The minute that has happened, the numbers have gone down. But again, it's a conversation for another time. But I'm standing firm.
No, I understand.
I don't think we should have it. I don't think the FBI should have it. I think it's a municipality sponsored. It shouldn't allow racist comments.
I think Facebook, and you have to remember, and I've said this before, Facebook as a company does not like law enforcement. They don't like government.
Well,
you got to remember, it was started by a bunch of hackers. They are anti-government. So I've had conversations with actually people that work at Facebook, and they have told me that's never going to happen. You're never going to be able, because my suggestion was, why can't each particular story, when you go to post it, have a pop-up say, do you want to allow commentary or not allow commentary?
It doesn't allow that.
Because if you post something that's controversial, you say, you know what, let's not put it out there. say no.
They're hackers, but they're money makers right now. That's all they care about.
It's so funny because they go against money and people are bad and the government's bad, and yet they're the wealthiest people in the world. So.
Okay, your take on Melania as we're running.
So here's my
quickly.
thing. She wasn't born in this country, okay, and I get the feeling that she maybe prior to this cycle was not involved in politics at all.
I agree with that.
So my thought is this: maybe she thinks that it's the standard speech that you're supposed to give as the potential first lady, like the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance is said the same way by everybody. So she thinks that's the speech you're supposed to give.
Yeah.
It's not a speech, it's the speech.
I would take that if she wrote the speech, but she really didn't write the speech.
Maybe she did.
There's a Trump staffer somewhere saying, I heard this guy, Utica, we got to go with it.
We got him.
Speech. You're supposed to give the same speech.
She's already given an interview that says that I gave a little input, and the rest of it was basically written for me. Yeah, but I like the theory.
Who says Steve is an ingenious?
Which shows
wow.
that he has a PR mind. It's like, listen, we're going to spin this crap.
Right.
I don't care. Plow forward. I like it.
Okay, good.
Okay, let's talk about something serious. 3 more police officers shot and killed, others injured. Baton Rouge. Here we have the convention going on right now. We got through one night, or really 2 nights in Cleveland, but you got to be nervous about tonight. Tonight's the big night.
Yeah, me. I've been on the show for years, and I typically don't get involved in political aspects of picking sides. I can tell you that I listened to the president's speech the other day when he gave it live on the radio, and they've said many times over that words matter when you're in a position of power,
and it's true.
The biggest thing is that up until that speech the president gave the other day, even what he did in Dallas at the funerals, he sort of he says how terrible it is, but. And then he starts to go into this other aspect of the political.
This is the first time that he didn't seem to do that.
He didn't. And the problem with it is this. I think when the president says it, no matter who the president is, people like you and I are never going to take the words he says and make an action out of it in an aggressive sort of way.
Right.
But there are people that are on the fringe of society that are already borderline, and they take words from a powerful person like him and say, I've got to do something. In other words, it's almost as if they take everything you say and they multiply it by 100. And then that for them is a call to action. Or, hey, I can get away with this because the president said that cops are bad. Yeah. So is there an issue? And I've said it for years. Of course. It's, there's too many police officers out there that some can't have a problem.
I think that, you cannot deny that race for this president has played a role in this story, which is why when he says, listen, we support police, but there is an issue. That but I don't think would ever come out of the mouth of another president because they'd realize just what you're saying, the importance of the words. But this president seems to have history that he allows to make his way based on race. It seems to be based on race.
Well, we all bring in our
personal experience.
Prejudices, whatever you want to call it. And it doesn't have to be a negative thing. I mean, you can be prejudiced in a good way. Maybe, you're prejudiced towards somebody that's tall or somebody towards short because you associate with them.
But you're representing
favoritism towards them.
Representing all of America, not just one.
Absolutely.
And that's the key here that I think is the mistake that he has made.
And nobody doubts he's an intelligent guy. He's a smart guy. And I think he has good intentions. I don't think he wants these things to happen. I don't think he has any intention that way.
I agree.
I just think he didn't see it through. And his whole big thing running was he was going to unite the country and he was going to unify. Well, and he's failed in that area. I
agree.
He has failed.
And somewhere along the line, someone got to him and said, this speech can't have anything about, it can't have a but. It's really got to be, this has to stop.
And how about Chicago? It's where he's born, and how many people are murdered there? I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I know.
And his right-hand man is the mayor there, and they cannot get it under control there.
Yeah.
It's a mess. Chicago.
It's a culture. It's become a culture there, and I'm not sure how it
I don't
changes.
know. I don't know what it's certainly not backing off as law enforcement.
What's it like to be a police officer right now? It's got to be a scary time.
Well, I did the numbers, and we talk about numbers all the time. And when you talk about reducing crime in a particular area, in other words, if we say, hey, listen, we've got a burglary problem, we've got a larceny problem, we've got an assault problem, when you can pick away from year to year at like 3, 4, 5, 6%, 6% would be a huge change in numbers. That's a big thing. I looked from last year to this year, the amount of officers killed by gunfire so far, 94% has gone up. 94.
Yeah, we were on a decline, a huge decline. But the problem is that this has become a fad. I for lack of a better word, it's the wrong word for this, but it's become a trend. And you're right. You have these people that are crazed, that are hyper focused, and they're sitting alone and they're stewing until they finally have crossed that line, that fine line that keeps us from sanity and insanity. They finally cross that line and decide, I'm going to drive down from where did he come from? This latest one came from Missouri.
Missouri, right?
Yeah,
I'm going to go to Baton Rouge and I'm going to kill officers.
Yep.
I mean, there's a fine line there between being angry and taking that action. This guy, I mean, think about it. All during that drive, wouldn't you have had something in your head saying, okay, maybe I'm overreacting here? But that line had been crossed. It's crazy.
Absolutely. And whatever it was, who knows? I mean, there's been, as long as a man has been in existence, there's been people that have had issues. But whatever it was in his head, all I'm suggesting is that anybody in the political realm, not just the president, you need to understand that your words are important. And you can't just go out there and speak necessarily from your heart. There's a time and a place for that.
Right.
But you need to speak as a leader and understand that the things you say, like I said, like everybody in this room, that's not going to make us go out and hurt somebody. But there are people that are really close to the line on either end, and they are going to take what you say to heart.
We've been talking about this all year long with Donald Trump, right?
Right, absolutely.
The words that come out of... So if Trump's going to be our next president, we have one exiting that's speaking from the heart, and you got another one that's going to go off the cuff as well. It could be another rough 4 years in this sort of thing.
It could, and I said the same thing to you about Donald Trump. I like a lot of the things that he says. I dislike a lot of the things he says. I think he goes over the top, and I don't even know that he necessarily believes some of the things he says. I think he says it for a reason. And again, I think he makes good points in some respects. In other areas, he's way off.
As always, thank you. And I know you rushed to get in here.
Yeah, no problem.
And I really appreciate it.